Good evening, everyone. I'm Beth Hildenbrand, and this is All Booked Up. And tonight, our special guest is Desiree Horton. So, Desiree, uh, if you want to start the show by telling us a little bit about yourself, that would be great.
Okay, I am a Pacific Northwesterner who's just living out here, obsessed with everything horror. And about 2 years ago, I decided to start writing short stories and seeing if I could get them out to places. Got a few accepted, and then made the jump after that to my first full-length horror novel, and that's out today.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
love release days, they're always the best. You just get so excited, and it's so much fun. I'm actually having one next week, and I'll tell you what, it never gets old. Uh, Release days are just like the best ever. So, congratulations on your new
Thank you.
release. And I have read it,
Oh, okay.
and it's fabulous. I have to say, I really enjoyed it. It was just creeptastic.
Thank you.
I'm frozen somehow. Uh, and so here we are with me frozen, and there's that. So yes, Midnight Mother is the title of the book,
Yep.
and I well, first of all, I love the character Lida. She's me. She's the pain in the ass child, which yes, that was me. So I totally related to her character. Uh, Always, making up stories, and it turns out her stories weren't very made up after all. But
Not all
yeah,
of them.
I used to love embellishing upon stories. Wonder why I'm a writer now. You're probably the same way as a child. Uh, so yeah, she was a great character, and wow, it was such a good book. I really liked it. Everybody go buy this book. Look on my Facebook page because it will be there. You got to check this out. Um, uh, Now, okay, where did you get the idea for this?
I actually originally wanted to write a story about auto cannibalism, and I started there, and then it turned into something completely not.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
always
say,
Nope, it doesn't really have much to do with that, but I started looking into it, and then I kind of got into like inherited trauma from family, specifically from mothers, and kind of passed down through the family line. And then there's a local Facebook group to me that's, I think it's Snohomish County or Pacific Northwest, like mines. They go explore abandoned mines and mining facilities, and they post all these really haunting, beautiful pictures on their page, and it's just constant. And so I kept seeing all of these, and I'd go watch all their videos, and I couldn't not kind of add it in there, even though originally the concept didn't have much to do with that. It just sort of went where it wanted to go. And yeah, nothing like my original plot.
well, I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter where you started because it turned out great. Um, I like the whole mine thing, and you named the mine. What was it? Mother Loves Bones.
Mother Love Bone. Yep.
Yes, I thought that was a great name for the mine too. That was cool. And it turned out that the mine was cursed. And I don't want to give too much away. I see. This is where I have a problem. I want to talk about the book, but I don't
It's
want to give
hard.
it away.
Right.
There was so much in it, and her relationship with her brothers,
Yeah.
and I say brothers because there's two, and I'm
Mhm.
not, like I said, I'm not giving a spoiler there either. But her relationship with her brothers was, I like the way it changed during the book,
Mhm.
and the fact that Vincent was it Vincent?
Yes.
Yes, he was an
The
amazing character. I love when you have the secondary characters who really just add the little panache to
He
to
was
it.
my
And
favorite to write. Yeah.
yeah, he was a lot of fun, and he was the comic relief. I always think
Hmm.
horror needs that little touch of comic relief. I always say my books are kind of like Scooby Doo meets Stephen King, because I have to have that comedy in it.
I like
And
that.
and he added the comedy and the comic relief to it, and I liked that a lot. He was a very cool character, and the whole mother thing. Yeah, she was twisted. She was a twisted mother.
Yeah. It was interesting writing something very different from my own. My mom is great and we have a wonderful relationship. And so having to write someone that was very not like my own mother, but probably more similar to my mother's mother, was interesting. And she was one of the first people who read the book. And so I feel like um, it was almost like a way for me to get to know her a little bit through that without having to rehash all of her unpleasant memories, I guess. Kind of get to know her through my own writing and processing of her grief that she's expressed to me.
Oh, well, that's great. I mean, but you know what I mean. It's nice when okay, I'm not expressing myself well. Why is it? Yeah, I can express myself on paper, but not with my mouth. Um, okay, Nina has a question, so let's do that. Uh, let's see. Which characters did you relate to most, and why?
Um, I would say Lita, but honestly, I when I was a kid, I was too honest. I was brutally honest. They got me in trouble a lot, so I kind of was the opposite way. Um, I felt like there's little bits of me kind of in everybody. Just it's hard for me to write one character that's more based off myself. I like to just sprinkle weird situations. I kind of relate to all of them, even the mother, even the antagonists. All of them get a little bit of me. So that's not a very good answer.
Well, you end up in the end kind of feeling for the mom, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. When
yeah,
learn the story, you're kind of like, well, wow, she was pretty strong, actually. You
hmm,
know,
a little
so
bit of a redemption. So,
yeah. Um, uh, who were some of your literary influences?
oh God, that's I read so many horror books. Obviously, everybody starts with Stephen King and kind of
Yeah.
goes from there. Um, I trying to think of what I kind of read. I think most recently I had sort of gotten into Grady Hendrix and he has I feel like his books are sort of like horror comedies like we just spoke about a little bit, and I liked being able to play on that a little bit with still that very vivid, scary, like ominous imagery, but then you get a splash of comedy and then it's like, "Oh, you're okay for a minute." But I mean, Stephen King is I think everybody's basic starter
Oh yeah.
horror kit. So somewhere between Stephen King and Grady Hendrix, I think I eventually would like to fall. Ideally.
I'm trying to think. Uh, I don't. I haven't really read a lot that has the comedy to it. Maybe that's why I feel like I have to add it to my own.
Hmm. There's not a lot.
There isn't. Now, in movies, you find it more. I'm trying to think. There was that
Hmm.
one Jordan Peele movie, and I can't think of the name of it. But it was the guy who was like a rent-a-cop, and he kept, he'd just pop up here and there, and he was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Oh, I was in I think Us or that them. It was one of his first ones. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, and he was hysterical. I loved
Hmm.
that character. He was my favorite through the whole movie. Because he added the comedy to that, because otherwise it was a very serious horror movie.
Hmm.
But he'd just pop up and be so, just not horror, just goofy. And
Yeah.
without him, it would have been a completely different movie.
Hmm.
So yeah, I really enjoy that. And there's a lot of his movies are that way. He has to add the comedy to it, and I appreciate that out of his movies. And
I think he would be a wonderful horror book writer if he would ever switch to doing that. Actually, I think he might be working on something similar at the moment. So he really
oh, I
nails
hope
that.
so. He does. He's like a pro at that. Well,
Yeah.
obviously he is a pro, but I mean he's just really good at what he does, and I'm glad we have him. I enjoy all of his work, and he's amazing. We have more questions. How do you approach character development in your writing? Wow.
I do not make outlines of any sort. I kind of just start writing and then try to remember all of the information I've kind of put together in my head, but it changes so often. And I find that if I try to plot a character, like how their personality is, I will not stick with it almost immediately. It's like I refuse to follow anyone's rules, including my own specifically. So I don't even write notes. I just go with it. And then every chapter I go back and start at the beginning and read through to where I am to try to keep on pace. But sometimes it's people, I see a person and I kind of want to write something that they did into it. And sometimes I'll base entire characters off of someone I saw that day, changing a few things, obviously.
When I started my last one, I had one character as one of those, prissy little New York women who carries her dog in her purse and the whole thing. And I ended up having to go back and ditch the dog and the whole 9 yards because her character changed so much through the book. And I completely forgot about the dog. And it was like, okay, this is not the same woman we started with. So I had to go back and totally change the beginning or change her from the beginning because her character just changed so much as the book went on that didn't even fit. And that's because I plotted the characters before I started the book. That was the first time I ever tried it. And I'm not trying it again because it just did not work for me. I'm just gonna start going with what I have, just going me. Okay, this person sounds good. We'll put them there and we'll put this one here. Yeah, trying to plot the characters was not a good idea for me. It just didn't work. I have to just let things go as they go. That's the best way with me. Yep, absolutely. Always. More questions. Woo! Which character or moment prompted the strongest emotional reaction for you and why?
Oh, that's hard. I'm pretty into it when I write. So there are some emotional scenes like when the main character Lita's kind of reliving what happened to one of her brothers. Well, he dies pretty quickly, you find out he's dead in the first chapter, so it's not giving too much away. But he was sort of the glue that held the family together, and she relives sort of the situation that happened that led up to him dying. That was pretty emotional for me. And then any of the scenes where I'd have to sort of delve into the relationship with some of her family members who weren't big fans of her was kind of hard for me to write. But so if I cry a little bit, I got to get up and walk away, and then I just try again.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah, she was. I got mad at the little old lady, the Aunt Tilly or Tildy.
Aunt Tildy.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I was getting so mad at her. I was like, "Why didn't you take this child? What is wrong with you? That is so mean and spiteful." I mean, I when I can yell at characters, I know it's a good book. When I can, get the emotions going. And it's like, okay, come here, child. I'll take you. I want you. And then I know that the book is doing its job. When I can get you mad and sad, and you did that. So you did incredible work because I was yelling at this little old lady, and just really raising hell with her about her nonsense. So yeah, you pulled it off very well because I was really mad.
I have one of the beta readers said that they couldn't understand why she was so mean to her with no reason, kind of. And I thought that was interesting because I'm actually basing her off of a family member of my own mother and my aunt who had the opportunity to take the children instead of them going into foster care and didn't, and then just never talked about it again with them. So it's a real situation that happened with no reason.
Oh,
And people are absolutely sometimes that terrible, and they just like there's no rhyme or reason for why it happened. There sort of was in my book because I felt like I needed a little justification, but it absolutely is a real thing that happens. So
I know, I know. See it on the news all the time. That's why I can't watch the news anymore.
exactly.
I just get too angry, and it's
Yeah.
oh, especially when it involves kids is my worst thing. I mean, just
Hmm.
no, I can't see the kids' stories. I just get too mad. I throw things at the TV, and it's just a mess. And it's like I'm not buying you a new TV if you break that TV. Oh yes, you will. Then turn the news off. Don't make me watch it, and you won't have to worry about me throwing things at it. I just oh. But yes, I get very emotional. I've got to stop that. I'm an old lady now. I think that's why I feel I can be emotional now. Okay, I was nice and quiet, took care of my business when I was young, so now I should be able to have the little emotional outbursts. I'm older
I
now.
agree.
Thank you. Okay. um, okay. What was the biggest challenge when you were writing the book?
Um, the parts where you're not as excited to write, I guess. When you think of an idea and you're like, oh, this is a great scene, and then you get through that scene and you have to get to the next great scene. It's the in between filler stuff that I'm
Yes.
not a big fan of. But I was really honestly proud of myself for finishing something because I don't think people realize how hard that can. I mean, for me personally, finishing something, I can start a million wonderful things. Finishing them is a struggle. So completion was the biggest challenge. But
I I can be that way too. I can have it all in my head and
mm,
yet procrastinate about getting the ending done. It's like, okay, yeah, I know what I want to write. I know what I want to write. But I should really finish reading this book, or I should, go get this done or go
mhm,
get that done. And you can find a million things to stop you from finishing that book.
mhm.
And and unfortunately, I do have those million things that stop me. But I managed to finish this last one, so I'm pretty proud of myself. I can pat myself on the back for that one. But things are finally slowing down, and now I can start a new book, and I'm looking forward to that. My hardest thing is starting.
Oh, really?
I will rewrite that first chapter so many times because it's like, how do I want to start this out? What is the best punch, to pull somebody in?
So
That
you
I will.
plan the ending first?
Well, no, I I have like the whole book in my head, but
Mhm.
it's you want to get that initial punch perfect so that you pull somebody in. And so I'll think, okay, yeah, this is a great way to do it. And then I'll be like, no, 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 that's too boring. Okay, let's try it this way. That's my thing. I'll rewrite the epilogue or the first chapter a half a dozen times before I decide which one is right. That's the hard part for me. So, oh, I'm glad you're good at that because it drives me nuts. And blurbs. Oh, I had some woman send me a
Yeah.
message. Will you write my blurb? And she's
That's
like, I'll
hard.
I'll advertise for you and I'll review for you. And I was like, lady, do you understand? I would rather choke myself to death than write a blurb.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'll have to pass. No, thank you.
That is actually, I would say, almost harder than writing the whole book is trying to summarize it into, a paragraph that doesn't give anything away but still makes you want to read it.
Yes, blurbs are
Like
the
they
worst.
teach classes on that. You're gonna take a whole course, a college semester course.
I would give you my firstborn child if I didn't have to write a blurb.
Someone
I
else could do
swear
it
to
for you.
you. It just, and Nina said to me last night, and it hit me because I put it off. I do. And I swear
Hmm.
it's like some kind of mind thing. where I purposely try to avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
And Nina, my PA last night, do you have the blurb for the new book? Oh, shit.
Gotta think fast.
Yep. So here I am late last night trying to figure out a blurb for this book because, okay, yes, it's coming out next week. I should have that ready, shouldn't I?
It's crunch time.
Yep. Got to put that up on Amazon with the book, don't I? Yep. Okay. Nope. Don't have nothing. And so, yeah, I got it done, but oh, I hate it. I really do. And then, I look at it and I think, oh, that just sounds boring. But I do the best I can. I'm not a blurb person. I still love you, Beth. She says, well, thank you, Nina. I love you too. Oh, can you tell us about your writing routine?
Oh. I work full time, and then I'm on call a lot, quite a bit at night, and then I've got kids and dogs and, normal life. So I have to try to take any free moment, and I never really I'm not ever alone in a quiet room somewhere where I tell everybody you can't talk to me for this amount of time, because it will never happen. So like right now, my dogs are sitting right next to me, and I am only one kid in the house, so it's relatively quiet. Um, and then I just have to try to pay attention for 30 seconds at a time, or maybe they'll give me 10 minutes and I write as much as I can. And then if I got to shut the computer and do something else, I do. So sometimes I get nothing done all week, and then I'll have a free hour and all of a sudden I get 6,000 words done. So it's very chaotic.
I had 5 boys in the house at one
Oh, yeah.
time, so
So you know
yeah,
about that.
I get that. I have learned to write with the TV going and the animals bouncing around and the kids thinking that the living room is WWE and the whole deal.
Hmm.
So yes, it is. It can get crazy, and you just learn to tune it out so you can do what you want to do.
Well,
Um,
no one ever wants your attention as much as when you are doing something
oh,
specific. And then it's
exactly.
mom, 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 or hey, did you see, whatever. But
Yeah,
I do
when
like
you
to
want
go
to
sit
sit down with
outside.
them, yeah, when you want to sit
Right.
down with them and do something, no, 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 they ignore you
It's
or
just
they're
when
too
I'm
busy
busy.
doing something else. But when you sit
Right.
down with something, then they think of a million things they need to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nina just asked my favorite question. What do you have any kind of music you enjoy or that you like to listen to when you write?
I try to pick a mood before I start and turn on some, if I get the opportunity to have it that quiet. Sometimes it's just dogs, noises around, but I'll pick a playlist based on whatever scene I'm writing and go it. Sometimes it's like 70s rock, sometimes it's classical, a little bit of everything. But I like noise when I'm working. I don't like it to be silent.
Oh, yeah, I know. I have a new playlist for every book, and it kind of
Mm.
starts out as the book starts and grows as the book grows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because, I'm down to one child now at home. And so I don't have
Minimal
all that
noise.
noise anymore. And so I have to have it. I have to have some kind of noise going constant,
Mm-hmm.
or I can't write. I'm just too used to all the clamor and the banging and everything else. It surprises me that I get quiet to do this, to do interviews. I'm like, every now and then you'll hear my dog groan, and it's like, oh, okay, there is life in here. But yeah, it's too quiet for me these days. I keep thinking I should just get my grandchildren for the summer and just let them be here and make noise so that
There you go.
I, I feel normal again. Because even the one I have left, you know, he's 17. He's in his room doing his thing. He doesn't want to be bothered. So it's almost like they're all gone. I only hear from
Mm-hmm.
him when food is a necessity. So, yep. So, well, tell us about your other books. You said are your short stories. Are they all
Yeah.
horror or?
Uh, yeah, mostly. Yeah, they are all horror. I don't know what I'm talking about. Excuse me. My first one I submitted to was a charity anthology. That's like kind of a collection, and there's nothing really binding them together. It's just a loose collection of horror stories for the Collective Liberty, which is a charity that works against human trafficking. And then I have one with the current publisher of my book now. That's a short story. That's body horror, and it starts out very tame, and by the end of the book, there are some stories I haven't even finished yet because they're very extreme, and I need breaks in between the extreme writing. It's a lot. So, but they're wonderful. They're really good. I'm kind of a sissy when it comes to reading some of this stuff. They're very talented authors, but I'm not that extreme. So, and then I've got a few small pieces with Wicked Shadows Press that are also mixed anthologies. Nothing really specific. I've got more planned this year. I just can't talk about them yet. So,
Okay. Are you going to do another big book like this?
yes, I am halfway through the first draft of one that I'm working on currently that I'm hoping to submit before the end of this year. I don't know when it would be published if it gets accepted, but probably not till next year would be my guess. It's very busy.
Sounds like it. What motivated you to become an indie author?
I have an unnatural obsession with just everything horror movies, books, music, just everything scary. I love horror sci-fi in all of its extremes. So I almost always have a crappy horror movie on in the background, or I make my kids and my husband watch really stupid, like 15% sci-fi horror movies, from like the Sci-Fi Channel, the
Oh
really,
yeah,
really great graphic ones.
we watch
So
all that stuff too, and like the original Barnabas Collins. I was just talking about that the other day, and where they have like the paper bats flying in the background. And I love that stuff. To this day, I will still turn that on before I will sit and watch this ridiculous stuff they have on TV nowadays. I would much rather watch the good old stuff. I am fascinated by the old black and white horror movies. I love them. Vincent Price is my, yeah. I said I think he was my first crush, was Vincent Price.
I can see that. He's very debonair.
He is. He's the kind of guy who's like, oh, before you kill me, please kiss me. Oh yeah. One of those kind of things. I loved Vincent Price. So yeah, I've always been a horror girl too. Started out with the horror comics and then moved up from there as time went on. So yes, I do indeed love my horror. I've got my 70s horror posters back here.
You see it in the back. That's cool.
Thank you. That was a gift. Yeah, we found a autographed Vincent Price photo in an old magazine, and I was just like, oh my God. Apparently Reading, Pennsylvania was a big spot for actors back in the day. And he had signed this little leaflet from when he was here. And boy, you'd have thought that was just like somebody handed me $10 million. I was so excited. I was jumping around and freaking out. So yeah, I'm a goof about Vincent Price. So, I guess we're about out of time, and here I am gibbering away, taking up all your time. So I want everybody to go on my page, my Facebook page, and find Desiree's book and all her social media places to follow her. And you definitely want to read this book, because I'm telling you, like I said, I was yelling. I was wanting to hold babies. This was a great book. And I really got into it, and I suggest it for everyone. And it came out today. Today, a new book was birthed, a new book, baby. So everybody needs to stop and check it out and show their support, because that's what we do here. That's what we're all about, is supporting. And next Wednesday, July 10th, my book is coming out, Where the Tombstones Grow. So if anybody wants to check that out. And my, what do you want to call it? My cover reveal was today. So if anybody wants to check out
I
the
saw
cover,
that.
it's on my page. Uh, yeah, my formatter made me that cover, Sharon Brownlee, because she looked at mine and said, "Beth, that looks homemade." And I said, "Well, yeah, because I made it." And so she made me a cover because she felt sorry for me.
Well, it's beautiful.
Thank you. That's how that happened. Thank you, Sharon, for the lovely cover. And thank you, Nina, my darling, for always covering my butt and making sure I'm where I'm supposed to be. And thank you very much, Desiree, for being on the show. You were a wonderful guest. And when
Thank
your
you.
next book comes out, we would be happy to have you back on the show.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. You just let us know. So for now, we will say bye bye, and we will see you tomorrow morning with Carly Yates. So bye bye, everybody. Have a good night. Love ya.